Admiral Karzeth hated humans, not because they were powerful. Clearly they weren't. 7 decisive engagements had shattered their fleets. Their orbital platforms were debris fields. Their planetary defenses flickered like dying embers. By every metric that mattered, Earth was finished. No, what infuriated him was something far worse. They refused to accept reality. Karzeth clicked, his mandibles grinding together as his chitin flushed a deep shade of irritation. Even now, across the command platform, Commander Verilyn adjusted his eye stalks toward the primary hologram. With respect, Admiral, the humans are defeated. Their military infrastructure has collapsed. Their ground forces are scattered. What else do you expect them to do? Karzeth gestured sharply, causing projection to shift. A transmission replayed. One broadcast on every known frequency, automatically translated into the standardized galactic tongue. Stop your advance, or we will stop pretending. The words hung in the air, heavy and wrong. Explain that, the Admiral demanded. What does it mean to stop pretending? Verilyn hesitated. It could be symbolic, a cultural expression, perhaps a threat meant to preserve dignity in defeat. Karzeth's mandibles snapped shut. We have conquered 16 civilizations. Not one responded to annihilation with riddles. Another officer spoke up. Intelligence confirms the signal originated from Earth's Unified Defense Authority. This was not a rogue broadcast. Then ignore it, Karzeth said coldly. Proceed with Phase 9. I want ground occupation initiated within 36 cycles. The invasion fleet shifted formation, engines flaring as they tightened their noose around Earth. Deep beneath the ruins of Geneva, General Mara Blackthorne stood amid flickering tactical displays and fractured concrete. The surface world was burning. Status, she said, her voice steady despite the thunder of distant orbital strikes. Colonel Anton Volkov straightened. Transmission successful, General. Quantum relays confirm penetration into approximately 70% of enemy vessels. And their response? No reply. Bombardment continues. Blackthorne exhaled slowly. Then they made their choice. Volkov's jaw tightened. We could still attempt negotiations. A ceasefire. Something conventional. We tried. Blackthorne cut in. 3 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago. Last week. They don't hear surrender. They hear weakness. She turned, bringing up a restricted interface that only 3 people on Earth were authorized to see. Contingency status. Dormant. Volkov swallowed. General, if we activate it, there's no going back. There won't be an Earth to go back to if we don't, she replied flatly. The room fell silent. This violates every treaty we signed, Volkov said quietly. Every ethical framework we swore to uphold. Blackthorne's eyes hardened. Those frameworks were built on the assumption we'd never face extinction. That assumption is gone. She tapped the screen. A new designation appeared. Directive Omega, ready. Do you know why we buried this? She asked. Volkov shook his head. Because humanity learned long ago what happens when survival becomes optional, Blackthorne said. We chose to be civilized. We chose restraint. We chose to lock away the parts of ourselves that scared even us. She looked up at him. They've mistaken that choice for limitation. Volkov's voice dropped. Authorization code? Blackthorne didn't hesitate. Blackthorne, Sigma Tango 9-1. The system accepted it. Across the planet, something ancient stirred. Fleet Commander Zyrok felt it before his sensors screamed. Commander! An officer shouted. Energy fluctuations detected across the planet's surface. What kind? Zyrok demanded. Unknown. They're everywhere. All continents. Oceans. Polar regions. It's like the entire planet just woke up. The hologram of Earth ignited with countless points of light, millions of synchronized pulses forming a vast, interconnected lattice. That's impossible, Zyrok whispered. A priority alert interrupted. Incoming transmission. Planetary origin. The image resolved into a human woman in a black uniform devoid of insignia save for a single symbol, a bird rising from flame. This is General Mara Blackthorne, she said calmly. You were warned. Zyrok straightened. Your world is defeated. Your fleets are gone. You're correct, she replied. If you're referring to the military we allowed you to see. A second display appeared, data streams that made no sense. Technologies that violated assumptions a galaxy had held for centuries. For 300 years, Blackthorn continued, humanity restrained itself. Today, that restraint ends. The lights on Xyrok's command deck flickered. Then the fleet began to scream. And for the first time since the invasion began, the hunters realized something was hunting them back. Fleet Commander Xyrok gripped the edge of the command console as alarms cascaded through the bridge. Report, he snapped. We're losing synchronization across multiple systems. The sensor officer replied, voice tight with panic. Navigation drift, weapons lag, internal diagnostics failing. This isn't a cyber attack. It's interference. That's impossible, Xyrok growled. Our systems are isolated. Hardened. A human face stared back at him from the holographic projection, calm to the point of indifference. Your defenses are excellent, General Blackthorn said evenly, by the standards you shared with us. The lights dimmed again. Several stations went dark. What have you done? Xyrok demanded. We activated something old, she replied. Old by human standards, at least. A planetary-scale resonance field designed to interact with neural and semi-organic computation. The bridge erupted in shouting. Commander! Another officer called. Multiple vessels reporting the same disruptions. It's fleet-wide. Blackthorn continued, as if discussing atmospheric conditions. Right now it's non-lethal. A nudge. A reminder that the technologies you helped standardize across the galaxy were incomplete. Xyrok felt something new coil in his chest. Fear. You claim victory, he said, forcing steadiness into his voice. Yet your planet is burning. For now, Blackthorn replied. That ends shortly. Before he could respond, his tactical officer shouted, Commander! Unknown signatures inside the fleet. Not boarding craft, teleportation. That technology was abandoned centuries ago. Xyrok roared. Yes, Blackthorn said. Officially. Lieutenant Aaron Cross materialized in a corridor that smelled of heated metal and alien pheromones. His armor hummed softly as it synchronized with his nervous system, sensory data flooding his mind in perfect clarity. Gravity adjusted, atmosphere compensated, threat indicators painted his visor in faint amber outlines. Spectre team, confirm insertion, Cross subvocalized. Green across the board came the replies, 6 voices, calm and precise. 3 weeks ago, Cross had been teaching applied astrophysics at a university in London. He'd lived a quiet life, a normal one, until the code buried in his military discharge activated. Contingency Omega, personnel recall. Every operative had a cover. Engineers, doctors, artists, teachers. Humanity's shadow army had lived in plain sight, waiting for the moment when rules stopped working. That moment had arrived. Movement ahead, whispered Kira, his second. 4 hostiles. Non-lethal, Cross ordered. We need intelligence. They move like ghosts. Adaptive camouflage bent light around their armor, rendering them little more than distortions in the corridor air. The alien guards raised their weapons. Too late. Directed electromagnetic bursts disabled the firearms instantly. Cross closed the distance in seconds, his suit amplifying strength and reflexes beyond biological limits. Precision strikes dropped the guards unconscious before a single alarm could sound. Secure and tag, Cross said. Move to objective. As they advanced deeper into the ship, Cross felt a strange detachment. Not guilt, not excitement. Acceptance. Humanity hadn't become this way overnight. This was a result of centuries of restraint layered over relentless innovation. Power hidden, not destroyed. Back in the Geneva bunker, General Blackthorn watched status indicators flip from red to blue. Boarding actions? She asked. Successful, Volkov replied. 74% of enemy vessels report internal compromise. The rest are attempting withdrawal. Let them try, Blackthorn said. She brought up a strategic overlay of the alien fleet. For the first time since the invasion began, humanity wasn't reacting. It was dictating. Admiral Karzeth stared at the data flooding his command chamber. Entire squadrons had gone silent. Others reported humans appearing inside secured compartments without breaching hulls. Weapons were locking out. Engines refused commands. "This is deception," he clicked. "They hid this from the entire galaxy." Commander Verolin's voice trembled. "Sir, analysis suggests they didn't hide it to gain advantage." Karzeth turned slowly. "They hid it," Verolin continued, "to restrain themselves." The doors hissed open. 6 human figures stepped inside, weapons trained with effortless confidence. Their armor was black, unmarked, predatory in its simplicity. One stepped forward, helmet retracting to reveal a human face, calm, focused, unafraid. "Admiral Karzeth," he said. "I'm Lieutenant Aaron Cross." The alien admiral bristled. "You think this ends a war?" Cross shook his head slightly. "No, this ends a misunderstanding." Behind him, holographic controls flickered to life, showing ship after ship under human control. "You attacked us because you feared what we might become," Cross continued. "What you're seeing now is what we chose not to be." Karzeth's mandibles trembled. "And what happens next?" he asked. Cross's expression hardened just enough to be unmistakable. "That depends on whether the galaxy is ready to stop pretending too." The Grand Chamber of the Galactic Assembly had never been silent. Even during declarations of war or planetary sanctions, there was always movement. Whispers, holograms shifting, delegates signaling aids. It was a place built on constant negotiation, until every screen activated at once. The delegates froze as a single image replaced their data feeds. A human woman in a black uniform, seated in a command environment none of them recognized. The insignia on her chest, a burning bird rising from ash, registered in no cultural database. "I apologize for the interruption," she said calmly. "But since you're discussing the extinction of my species, it seemed appropriate to participate." Outrage erupted instantly. "This chamber is secured," one delegate shouted. "Remove that feed," another demanded. "This is a violation of council law." The woman waited. When the noise reached its peak, she spoke again. "I am General Mara Blackthorn of Earth," she said, "and your security systems are functioning exactly as designed." That was not reassuring. The Muron Charity pulsed anxiously. "Explain how you access this chamber." "We helped design the foundational protocols your systems are built upon," Blackthorn replied. "Centuries ago, from your perspective." Shock rippled through the chamber. "That's impossible," hissed the Furion delegate. "Humans were a pre-industrial species when you first observed us." Blackthorn finished. "Yes, we were." A second projection appeared beside her. Streams of data, timelines, development curves. "And then we chose something unusual," she continued. "Restraint." She leaned forward slightly. "Humanity spent thousands of years nearly wiping itself out. When we finally unified, we made a decision. Progress without dominance. Power without display. We buried entire branches of research because we understood what unchecked advancement does to fearful neighbors." The chamber was utterly silent now. "We joined your community as juniors by design," Blackthorn said. "We shared older technologies, accepted your frameworks, and allowed you to believe we were catching up." The Tenteran delegate bristled. "You deceived us." "No," Blackthorn replied. "We accommodated you." Another feed appeared, live tactical overlays. Alien ships highlighted in blue. Dozens, then hundreds. "The fleet you authorized to eliminate us," she said evenly, "has been neutralized. Their commanders are in custody. Their weapon systems are under our control." The Furion delegate recoiled. "This is a threat." "This is transparency," Blackthorn said, "something this council has lacked." The chair entity's voice wavered. "You were designated a potential destabilizing species. Our projections were correct," Blackthorn interrupted. "Just incomplete." She gestured, and the image shifted to Earth. A shimmering field now enveloped the planet and its surrounding space. "Our system is sealed," she said. "No entry without permission." No exit without consent. Consider it a border, something you value greatly. You cannot isolate yourselves, a delegate protested. Trade. Diplomacy. We can, Blackthorn replied. We planned for it centuries ago. Murmurs erupted again, but she pressed on. We are not declaring war on the galaxy, she said. We are declaring independence. The chamber stilled. Effective immediately, Blackthorn continued. Earth withdraws from Council military oversight. We will defend our territory. We will not expand beyond it. Any species approaching us in good faith will be met with cooperation, not conquest. And if we refuse, the chair entity asked. Blackthorn's gaze sharpened. Then we stop pretending that your definition of civilization is universal. The display shifted again. Alien fleets positioned in orbit around key Council worlds. Not firing, simply present. A demonstration, she said. Nothing more, nothing less. The transmission ended. Admiral Karzeth sat in containment, his mandibles still. The human general stood across from him, hands clasped behind her back. You could have executed me, he said finally. We don't execute messengers, Blackthorn replied. We question the system that sent them. You seek to dismantle the Council. No, she said. We seek to force it to grow up. Karzeth studied her carefully. And my role in this? You commanded the invasion, she said. Your voice carries weight. You can either warn them what humanity truly is, or let them find out the hard way. Silence stretched. Finally, the Admiral inclined his head. My species value survival. I will speak. Across Council space, fear spread, not of invasion, but of realization. Humanity had never been weak. It had been patient. And patience, the galaxy was beginning to understand, could be far more dangerous than aggression. The galaxy did not respond with violence. That alone told General Mara Blackthorn everything she needed to know. In the days following Earth's declaration, no fleets advanced. No ultimatums were issued. Instead, Council space dissolved into frantic recalculations, emergency sessions, fractured alliances, and a sudden flood of encrypted diplomatic traffic. Fear, Blackthorn knew, had shifted sides. Official response? She asked, standing in the observation chamber beneath the Antarctic ice. Colonel Volkov checked his tablet. No military mobilization. Economic sanctions were proposed, then quietly withdrawn. Several member species are requesting clarification talks. Blackthorn allowed herself a thin smile. Translation? They don't know what to do with us. Across the chamber, Admiral Karzeth watched silently from behind a containment field. He had been given comfortable quarters, access to data, even unfiltered footage of Earth's devastation. Not as punishment, as context. You showed them restraint, he said finally. That unsettles the Council more than threats ever could. That's the idea, Blackthorn replied. 3 days later, the first delegation arrived. Not a war fleet, a diplomatic vessel. Unarmed, its transponders broadcasting compliance before it even crossed the system's edge. The alien envoys were escorted into Geneva's rebuilt command complex, their expressions carefully neutral as they took in human personnel, moving openly among technologies the galaxy had once labeled forbidden. Teleportation nodes, neural-linked interfaces, autonomous construction swarms, all functioning calmly, civilly. You hid this world, said Delegate Sarek of the Lantari Union, unable to fully mask his awe. We protected it, Blackthorn corrected. From panic, Sarek folded his hands. The Council believed you intend to destabilize the balance of power. The balance was already unstable, Blackthorn said evenly. It nearly got us erased. She gestured, and a holographic display showed images of ruined cities, refugee corridors, scarred landscapes. This is the cost of assumptions, she said. We won't pay it twice. Later that day, Blackthorn stood across from Admiral Karzeth in a secure conference room. You've seen our response, she said. You've seen the Council's hesitation. Yes, Karzeth replied. They fear you. They should fear stagnation, Blackthorn said. That's what nearly killed us. The Admiral tilted his head. You want my people as allies. I want your people as equals, she replied. You were manipulated into attacking us because you trusted a system built on incomplete truths. Karzetha's mandibles clicked softly, and now you intend to build something else. Yes. What happened to the council? Blackthorn considered the question carefully. It survives, or it evolves, or it becomes irrelevant. The Admiral leaned back, thoughtful. You understand this will make enemies. We already had them, she said. Now they'll have to be honest about why. Across council space, honesty spread like a shockwave. Species long constrained by community standards began asking dangerous questions. Why certain research paths were forbidden, why technological ceilings existed at all, why fear had been mistaken for wisdom. Requests flooded Earth, scientific exchanges, observer status, cooperative frameworks, not conquest, curiosity. 14 species have formally requested partnership talks, Volkov reported later, including 3 founding council members. Blackthorn nodded, and the rest. Watching closely, she turned toward the stars, as they should. The emergency council session reconvened in chaos. The human cravage alignment undermines our authority, one delegate shrieked. It exposes our hypocrisy, another countered. We sanction preemptive genocide. The chair entity pulsed erratically. Order, order. Before vote could be called, every delegate's console chimed simultaneously. Live feeds, human research facilities, not weapons platforms, but vast underground complexes where scientists from multiple species work side by side. Energy breakthroughs, medical advances, dimensional modeling, shared openly. No coercion. This is manipulation, someone hissed weakly. No, another whispered. This is leadership. In Geneva, Blackthorn watched the feed with quiet satisfaction. They're changing, Volkov said. They have to, she replied, or they'll be left behind. And us, he asked, what do we become now? Blackthorn didn't answer immediately. Humanity had stepped into the light at last. Not as conquerors, but not as supplicants either. We become what we always were, she said finally. Explorers who learn the hard way that survival requires strength, and that strength means nothing without restraint. She straightened as a new alert appeared. Incoming delegation. Admiral Karzetha's homeworld, requesting formal talks. Blackthorn allowed herself a genuine smile. The war had ended the moment the galaxy realized it had misunderstood humanity. What followed would decide everything else. 6 months after the invasion, Earth no longer looked like a defeated world. Construction swarms rebuilt cities faster than anyone had believed possible. Oceans were healing. Atmospheres stabilized. Humanity had stopped hiding, not its weapons, not its science, and not its intentions. And the galaxy was still trying to catch its breath. General Mara Blackthorn stood on the observation terrace, overlooking Geneva, watching alien delegates mingle with human scientists below. Conversations flowed through translators that struggled to keep up with new concepts, new sciences, and entirely new ways of thinking. They're adapting faster than expected, Colonel Volkov said beside her. They have to, Blackthorn replied. The old model is dead. Behind them, a familiar clicking sound announced Admiral Karzetha's arrival. His carapace now bore diplomatic markings instead of military sigils, symbolic, but meaningful. The council vote is complete, he said. Earth's independent status has been formally recognized. Volkov exhaled. Unanimous? Karzetha's mandibles twitched. Hardly, but sufficient. Blackthorn nodded. That's all we ever needed. Later that day, the first human Kravitz Cooperative Accord was signed. It was not a military alliance. That distinction mattered. Instead, it established shared research initiatives, mutual defense transparency, and, most controversially, open scientific exchange beyond council restrictions. You understand, Karzeth said quietly as they reviewed the final clauses. This will fracture the existing power structure. It already was fractured, Blackthorn replied. We're just refusing to pretend otherwise. He studied her. There is something I still don't understand. She gestured for him to continue. You possess technologies capable of domination. You hid them, even after revealing your strength. You chose diplomacy instead of conquest. His compound eyes narrowed slightly. Why? Blackthorn didn't answer immediately. Instead, she activated a hologram. It showed Mars. Beneath Olympus Mons, a vast facility unfolded. Layers upon layers of human research, glowing portals, controlled dimensional apertures, and energy systems that bent physics without breaking it. This, she said, is what humanity was actually working on. Karzeth stared. Dimensional access, consciousness modeling, reality layer stabilization. These are not weapons, Blackthorn said. They're questions. We stopped asking how to defeat our enemies centuries ago. We started asking how to understand existence itself. Volkov added quietly. The military technologies you encountered were never the point. They were locks on the door. Protection. Protection from what? Karzeth asked. From ourselves, Blackthorn answered honestly. The revelation spread quickly. Across the galaxy, species began to reassess their assumptions. Fear-based prohibitions were challenged. Research once considered taboo was revisited, with caution, oversight, and cooperation rather than suppression. The Council resisted, but resistance faded as results emerged. Medical breakthroughs that cured diseases once thought incurable. Energy systems that ended resource scarcity on marginal worlds. Navigation methods that made deep space isolation obsolete. Humanity did not conquer the galaxy. It changed the rules. 1 year after the invasion, the Galactic Assembly reconvened. This time, Earth was not on trial. It was invited. The chair entity addressed the chamber, its form rippling thoughtfully. History will remember this period as a turning point, not because of war, but because of restraint. Blackthorn stood at the podium. We were afraid once, she said. Afraid of what we were capable of. Afraid of how others would react. So we pretended to be smaller, slower, safer. She paused. That pretense nearly cost us everything. The chamber was silent. We are not asking the galaxy to trust us blindly, she continued. We are asking it to grow with us, to question assumptions, to replace fear with understanding. She looked around the room, at species that had once voted for Earth's destruction. The universe is too vast for us to face it divided. Later, under Earth's night sky, Blackthorn stood alone. The stars no longer felt distant. Volkov joined her, hands clasped behind his back. Civilian leadership takes over tomorrow, he said. You're officially stepping down. Good, she replied softly. I was never meant to be humanity's permanent voice. And Protocol Omega? He asked. Blackthorn smiled faintly. Still active. Some lessons should never be forgotten. Volkov nodded. Do you think they understand us now? She looked up at the stars. No, she said, but they understand this much. What's that? Blackthorn's eyes reflected distant starlight. That humanity was never pretending to be weak. She turned back toward the lights of the rebuilt city. We were pretending to be harmless. And now, the galaxy knew the difference. The galaxy did not change overnight. It fractured first. Independent systems withdrew from council oversight. Former client species questioned restrictions they had obeyed for centuries. Entire research academies were dismantled and rebuilt under new cooperative charters. Fear did not vanish, but it no longer held a monopoly on decision-making. And at the center of it all sat one uncomfortable truth. Humanity had not broken the system. It had exposed it. On Luna Station, far from Earth's atmosphere and politics, a quiet meeting took place. No banners, no broadcasts, just representatives from 12 species seated around a circular table made from material grown rather than forged. General Mar Blackthorn, now officially retired, attended not as a commander, but as an observer. The Council wants assurances, said Envoy Taylor the Zyran Compact. They fear that what humanity revealed will trigger an arms race. Blackthorn nodded. That fear is irrational. And yet, Taylor continued, your species is not racing. No, Blackthorn agreed. We already finished. Silence followed. That silence carried more weight than any threat. Elsewhere, Admiral Karzai stood before his own government, delivering the most controversial report in Kravich history. The humans are not conquerors, he stated plainly. They are something more dangerous and more valuable. A senior counselor clicked sharply. Clarify. They are a species that learned restraint before it was forced upon them. Karzai replied. They possess power, but do not orient their identity around domination. The chamber stirred. They will reshape the galaxy, another council warned. Yes, Karzai agreed, but not in the way we feared. On Earth, the public was still processing the truth. Centuries of secrecy did not dissolve cleanly. There were protests, investigations, furious debates about accountability and oversight. And yet, there was no panic. Humanity had stared extinction in the face and survived. That changed perspective. A child stood in a classroom in Nairobi, watching a live feed from Mars where a joint human-alien research team opened a stabilized dimensional window, no larger than a door. Teacher, the child asked, are we the strongest species now? The teacher paused. No, she said finally, we're the most prepared. Months later, the Galactic Assembly voted on a measure unthinkable just a year prior. The Council Standards Doctrine, the foundation of technological limitation, was repealed. In its place rose a new framework, the Cooperative Advancement Accord. No suppression without consensus, no preemptive annihilation, no fear-based ceilings on progress. Humanity did not lead the vote. It didn't need to. In a quiet facility beneath the Arctic ice, Protocol Omega remained active, but it had changed. No longer just a contingency. Now it served as a safeguard, its systems monitored by a joint oversight council of humans and non-humans alike. Transparency had replaced secrecy. Purpose had replaced paranoia. Lieutenant, now Captain, Aaron Cross reviewed the system logs one last time before transferring command. Funny thing, he said to the technician beside him, we built this to survive the galaxy. The technician nodded and ended up changing it. Cross smiled faintly. Not bad for a species that was supposed to be eliminated. Mara Blackthorne stood alone once more beneath the stars, far from command centers and councils. For the first time in her life, she felt unnecessary. And that was exactly as it should be. Humanity no longer needed a hidden sword in the dark. It had become something rarer. A species others chose to follow, not because they were feared, but because they had proven they could have ruled, and didn't. Far beyond Earth, deep space sensors recorded new signals. Unknown, ancient, watching. Blackthorne looked up and smiled. Good, she whispered. Now it's your turn to decide how you want to meet us. The universe was vast. Humanity was ready. And this time, it wasn't pretending anymore.